Winter is on the way and will be here soon. Power outages happen all the time, all over the place. When the power goes out in the middle of winter, heat can mean survival. Every winter, carbon monoxide poisonings, fires, house fires, and burns spike due to the use or the misuse of emergency heaters and fuels. I don't want you and your family to become a statistic. So in this video, we're going to look at how to use alternative or emergency heaters and fuels safely when the power goes out, or you just need to use them somewhere, sometime, for any reason. In the wintertime, these 4 types of accidents increase: carbon monoxide poisoning, house fires, burns, and to a lesser extent, explosions. In that order, using any of these type of heaters and fuels, butane, propane, kerosene, increases the odds that you could have any of those type of accidents. Therefore, we're going to look at the ways to use these type of heaters and fuels to greatly reduce the chances of any of those type of accidents happening to you or your family. Carbon monoxide. CDC reports more than 50,000 emergency room visits per year in the U.S. for accidental CO2 poisoning, over 14,000 hospitalizations, and about 430 deaths. And winter is the peak season for all of that. And a large part of those carbon monoxide poisonings come from misusing things like these. Number 1, don't use any kind of heater that isn't made to use indoors. Number 2, make sure you have good ventilation, like cracking a window. Number 3, make sure you have a portable, battery-powered carbon monoxide detector, preferably one that's digital and gives you instantaneous readings. Of course, the one I'm talking about, like this one, is in addition to those that you hopefully already have stationed throughout your house. The portable, battery-powered one is so that you can take it with you, move it around, wherever you need to use your heat. Having a digital, portable, battery-powered detector is important so that you can get instantaneous readings and not just merely an alarm that will go off whenever things have gotten out of hand. So when you get your carbon monoxide detector, if you don't already have one, and it gives instantaneous readings, it may show some carbon monoxide even when you're not using your heaters. So I want to give you some information about carbon monoxide readings. Outside at any time, there's usually going to be somewhere between 0.05 and 0.5 parts per million of carbon monoxide. Those levels will get a little higher if you're in the city, perhaps, or if you're near a busy highway. In those top places, the readings might go up somewhere around 5 parts per million. Remember, that's there all the time. If you have a gas heater in your home, near that heater may be upwards of like 15 parts per million. Some good things to know about the amount of carbon monoxide in the air, wherever you're at 10 to 20 parts per million, with prolonged exposure, meaning for a few hours. Sensitive people who are sensitive perhaps to carbon monoxide may start to have mild symptoms. 50 parts per million is the threshold for safe workplace exposure over an 8-hour period. 100 parts per million can become dangerous if you're exposed to it for an extended period of time. 400 parts per million is life-threatening if you're exposed to it for very long. So when it comes to carbon monoxide detectors, they're typically not designed to go off at low levels, UL 2034, which requires the detectors to sound the alarm when the level gets to 70 parts per million and stays there for 1 to 4 hours. At those lower levels of carbon monoxide, your typical alarm won't go off. Hence the need to have a digital alarm that will give you instantaneous readings. So you can monitor and know if those levels are increasing, and if they are, you can do something about it. Your alarm doesn't just only go off if it reaches 70 parts per million. In addition to that, if the levels reach 150 parts per million for 10 to 50 minutes, the alarm will go off. If the levels reach 400 parts per million or more for 4 to 15 minutes, then the alarm will go off. The last thing about carbon monoxide before we move on, you can't see it, you can't smell it, and you might not know that it's there until it's too late. So if you're going to use a heater and fuel like some of these, you absolutely got to have one of these. The second type of accident that we want to try to avoid is fires and or house fires. So how do we protect our family and homes from house fires? Keep heaters at least 3 feet away from anything flammable, curtains, furniture, and keep anything flammable at least 3 feet away from the heater. Place them on a stable surface, preferably the floor, but not somewhere in an elevated position on some type of a shelf. Number 3, don't leave the heater unattended. Number 4, do everything that you possibly can to keep a heater from getting tipped over. And if you have young children or pets, it might be necessary to put a barrier around the heater to prevent that from happening. Also, some heaters have tip over mechanisms, meaning that if they get tipped over, they shut off, but not all emergency heaters have that feature. Number 5, make sure that you have a class A, B, C fire extinguisher nearby and readily available. A, B, C. There are some class K fire extinguishers that are specifically made for grease fires, like in your kitchen, for cooking oils. That type fire extinguisher is not suitable for these types of stoves. And of course, if you use a fire extinguisher, it's going to make a mess when you use it. Therefore, it would be a good idea to have a fire blanket on hand also. This would be a lot less messy, and if you catch the fire, should you have one, before it expands, maybe you can smother it out with one of these. In the event you can't, you still have that. Number 7 is to have a smoke detector. And it too should be battery powered and portable. And if you're just now getting ready to get your carbon monoxide detector and or smoke alarm, you can get them combined into one unit. And that brings us to preventing burns. Number 1, be careful. Number 2, have some type of gloves, like welding gloves, or these are made by Lodge, but they're basically the same as welding gloves. They're for handling hot utensils, skillets, Dutch ovens, and those kinds of things. Really good to have if you're going to deal with these. These things are going to get hot. If you have children and or pets, it might be necessary to put some type of a guard like you would put up for a small child to keep them out of danger in your household or outside. Number 4, be careful with your fuels, especially those like kerosene. Make sure if you spill anything, you clean it up first. Just common sense things in that regard. Number 5, make sure there's not any leaks when you're attaching propane, butane, or whatever to the heater. You also might want to check for leaks with a leak detector. This is my gas leak detector. I'm going to show you how it works, how it sounds. This is a propane heater. I'm going to push the knob that is intended to get the pilot light lit, but I'm not going to light it. I'm going to intentionally let some propane start coming out, and you can see what the detector does when it senses that. So here we go. That's what it looks like without gas, without detecting gas. So I moved it away from the source of gas or the leak, and it went back to showing me that there was no further leak. And number 6, make sure your first aid kit is up to date and well supplied with things to provide first aid treatment for burns. And number 7, make sure that you or someone there knows how to give first aid for burns. So we've looked at how to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, how to prevent fires and house fires, how to prevent burns. The last thing we're going to look at is fuel safety, preventing explosions. Of course, the very best way to prevent an explosion is to have your gas leak detector. Because if you got a gas leaking, it's going to tell you. Number 2, in the wintertime, people are likely to get more fuel just in case they do need to use these type heaters. So you have to be sure that you store your fuel properly. And that's going to depend upon the actual type of fuel that you're going to use. Propane, butane, kerosene, or whatever else it might be. Number 3, don't try to refill these disposable propane canisters. They are not designed to be refilled over and over. If you want to buy your propane in larger containers like your barbecue grill, 20-pound or 15-pound container, and then fill or refill 1-pound containers, be sure to get yourself One of these type containers that are made to be refilled over and over and over, they're far superior to these. And if you want to make life easy on yourself and refilling them, and you can get those in a refill kit as well. The last thing when it comes to fuel safety, don't store extra fuel close to the heater so that you don't have to go outside and get more fuel later on. If you use one of these types of heaters, you can stay warm in the wintertime when the power's out. And if you follow the advice in this video, you can stay safe at the same time. I try to make videos that are worth your time. And if you found this one to be such, I'd like to ask you to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel. Those two things take virtually no time on your part. They help me tremendously. I'd also like to ask you to share the video with your family, friends, and on your social media accounts. And be sure to join me in the next video.